Chosen one, block your focus on my voice right now. That rising fear in your gut, the one that tells you you're not ready. Silence it. The atmosphere has shifted radically in the last 48 hours. It's not just different. It feels like a gauntlet has been thrown, an invisible line crossed. Maybe you woke up this morning with a sudden, overwhelming urge to prove yourself. A fire in your belly you haven't felt in years, only to be met with immediate resistance from unexpected corners. Or perhaps you were going about your day yesterday, felt a distinct shift, and suddenly the very people who once dismissed you are now observing you with a strange mixture of awe and apprehension. You feel a volatile mix of righteous anger and raw power churning beneath the surface. The darkness has been pressing hard this week because it finally understands what you're becoming. The enemy isn't just screaming at you, he's terrified of you because he sees the power you've unknowingly activated. It all changes in the next 24 hours. The underestimation, the subtle mockery, the attempts to hold you back. But here's the part you need to hear. It's not ending because fate intervened. It's ending because of what you've endured, what you've learned, and the power you now carry. Think back to that moment last year, when they overlooked you for that promotion, when they dismissed your ideas, or when they laughed at your vision. You thought that moment was a setback, a sign you weren't enough. You didn't know it then, but their underestimation was a blindfold, and your quiet resolve was forging an unbreakable weapon. You weren't weak. You were strategically hidden, preparing to unleash something they could never anticipate. You didn't stumble upon this message. The algorithm didn't decide to show this to you. Divine intelligence, the very hand of heaven, has brought you here at this precise moment. This is a divine activation, a strategic download for the war you're about to win. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the exact moment they sealed their own fate. By underestimating you, I'm going to equip you with the divine strategies to leverage your newfound power. And at the end, I will declare over you the truth that solidifies your position as a dangerous force the enemy can no longer ignore. Do not click away. Your future self, the powerful version of you that is no longer overlooked, is demanding your full attention. If you leave now, you might miss the precise instruction that activates your dangerous new reality and accidentally remain trapped in the shadow of their underestimation. My name is Zerekiel. I've spent years studying the hidden patterns of the spirit realm, the warfare, the awakening, the weapons most people are never taught to use. And I've walked over 10,000 chosen ones through their moment of breakthrough. If this is your first time here, subscribe and hit the notification bell right now. Not because I need the numbers, but because the next message I release might be the one that was written specifically for the war you're fighting tomorrow. In this charged atmosphere, the enemy has started whispering a very specific lie. Listen to your thoughts. He's telling you that the fire you feel, the sudden surge of power, is just anger, that it's too much, that you're becoming what you once hated. He's replaying moments when you felt overwhelmed or reacted impulsively. He's telling you that this new intensity is a flaw, that you're out of control, that you've disqualified yourself from divine grace because you're too much. But I need you to hear what divine truth actually says about this moment. Genesis 32 verse 28 declares, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." Listen to that promise. You have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. Your intensity, your fire, the very too muchness they judge you for, is not a disqualification. It is the evidence of a wrestling match with destiny, the very struggle that earns you a new name, a new identity, and a dangerous, new level of authority. The sudden opposition you're feeling isn't a sign you're failing. It's the roar of a defeated enemy acknowledging your arrival. It's the universe affirming that the season of being underestimated is officially over. You think your intensity is a weakness, but let me reframe your reality right now. It is your weapon. You are not just powerful, chosen one. You are dangerous, and they are finally realizing it. Hit the like button if you feel this message arrived at the right time. Drop a comment below. What's one moment this week where you felt that fire ignite inside you, and now you're seeing it as a strength? But here's the unseen spiritual barrier that has truly kept you from stepping into this breakthrough. the one beneath the surface of all those whispers. It's the subtle, insidious agreement you made with the lie that your raw, untamed essence was inherently wrong. You've been programmed to believe that the very intensity that makes you a force for change, the fire that fuels your calling, is something to be tamed, hidden, or apologized for. You thought that if you were less, you would be more accepted, more loved, more safe. But this isn't wisdom. It's a divine misdirection. Think of the prophet Jeremiah, told by God that he was appointed before birth, yet he felt too young, too inexperienced, too not enough. He was battling an internal narrative that tried to shrink him to fit human expectations rather than expand into the divine mandate. You've been trying to fit a universe-sized purpose into a teacup, believing the problem was the size of your spirit, not the size of the container you were trying to occupy. The struggle isn't with having too much fire. It's with suppressing it, with denying the very design heaven etched into your DNA. What you just heard wasn't entertainment. It was confirmation. And if you're ready to go deeper, the Chosen One's mantle will show you exactly why God separated you before birth, why the attacks came so early, and what He's unlocking in this season. Code by code, until you're walking the life He already wrote over you. The link is waiting in the first pinned comment, but not for long. The first step in truly leveraging this dangerous power is to reclaim your too muchness, not as a flaw, but as your divine signature. Understand that the overwhelming presence, the intense emotions, the spiritual sensitivity that others find difficult to handle, is not chaos within you, but the raw material of creation. Just as Moses encountered the burning bush, a fire that consumed yet did not destroy, your intensity is meant to transform, not to diminish. It is the evidence of a spirit too vast to be contained by conventional molds, a soul designed for impact that cannot be diluted. But here's where it deepens. This fire is not merely power, it is also a refiner's fire sent to burn away what is not truly aligned with your destiny. The discomfort you feel, the friction with your surroundings, is a sacred process. It's pruning, not punishment. Malachi spoke of the refiner's fire, purifying silver and gold. Your current state of heightened intensity is precisely that, burning off the dross of old identities, past hurts, and limiting beliefs, preparing you to shine with an unblemished brilliance. And this leads us to something critical. The internal friction, the feeling of being too much for others, is not a sign that you are misaligned, but rather a profound indication that you are outgrowing environments, relationships, and situations that can no longer contain the magnitude of who you are becoming. Just as Abraham was called to leave his comfortable homeland of Ur for a land he did not know, your spirit is being compelled to move beyond what is familiar and safe, to make space for the expansive reality of your calling. You are becoming too vast for the small places you once occupied. Coming up, the one thing you've been protecting that's actually been holding you back. Now, once you grasp that, you begin to understand the gift of your sacred rage. There is a righteous anger, a holy fire that fuels divine justice and clears paths, rather than a destructive ego. It is not a sin. It is a spiritual tool. Remember when Jesus overturned the tables in the temple? His intensity wasn't out of control. It was a calibrated force, driven by a pure heart demanding alignment. Your fire, when harnessed, becomes a powerful force for dismantling injustice, breaking chains, and fiercely protecting your purpose. But let me challenge you with something. They underestimated you not just because they couldn't see, but because you were strategically hidden until the appointed time. Your quiet phases, those seasons of isolation and rejection, were not periods of defeat, but divine deployments. Just as David spent years tending sheep and fleeing Saul before he ever sat on the throne, you were forging an unbreakable weapon in the wilderness of obscurity. Your perceived weakness was a blindfold, a covert operation by heaven to shield you until your power was fully mature. In just a moment, we'll expose the invisible agreement you've unknowingly made that's been disarming your power. And yet, there's something beneath even that. The relentless whispers of doubt, the self-judgment that tells you you're too intense, too emotional, too radical. These are not your thoughts. They are the enemy's desperate attempt to keep you in a cycle of self-sabotage, to disarm you before you even enter the battlefield. Just as the serpent whispered half-truths to Eve, questioning her identity and God's intent. These voices are designed to disconnect you from your divine source. Discerning the source of these thoughts is paramount to silencing them. What most people don't realize is they've been sacrificing their true power on the altar of fitting in or being humble by human standards. True humility is not diminishing your divine light. It is acknowledging and stewarding the immense power God has placed within you. Remember Moses' initial reluctance, arguing he wasn't eloquent enough to speak to Pharaoh. God didn't reduce Moses' power. He amplified it, demanding Moses step into the full measure of his anointing. Your true humility is expressed in wielding your power with reverence and purpose, not by shrinking from it. This brings us to the real turning point. Your intuition, your gut feeling, the deep knowing within you, is now screaming at you to trust it, even when it defies logic, popular opinion, or the expectations of others. This is heaven's GPS, recalibrated and operating on a higher frequency. Peter walked on water as long as he trusted the divine impulse, but the moment he doubted his own too-muchness and looked at the storm, he began to sink. Your internal compass is now infallible. It's time to follow its unshakable guidance. And now, for the part that will likely confront everything you thought you knew. You owe it to heaven to express the power placed within you, suppressing your divine fire, holding back your dangerous authenticity. Isn't humility. It is a denial of your divine mandate, a profound spiritual debt. Think of the parable of the talents. The servant who buried his talent, fearing its loss, was condemned not for failure, but for inaction, for not multiplying what he had been given. Your power is meant to be invested, to grow, to change the world around you. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share next is the one hidden block that has disarmed countless chosen ones. Here's the part no one wants to hear. You have been subconsciously loyal to the limitations placed upon you by others, and by your past. This loyalty has been masquerading as prudence, as caution, or even as love for those who can't handle your true self. But this attachment to old narratives, old identities, and old environments is preventing your emergence. Lot's wife, in her loyalty to the past, looked back and became a pillar of salt, immobilized by what she refused to release. Your future demands a radical allegiance to your higher self, above all else. And here's the part you probably didn't expect. The fear you've been battling isn't primarily the fear of failure, or rejection, or even external attack. It is the profound, terrifying fear of your own unstoppable power. It is the terror of what you will become when you fully unleash, because that version of you is unfamiliar, even to yourself. It is the fear of the vastness you are meant to embody, the responsibility that comes with operating at such a dangerous frequency. Joshua was repeatedly admonished to be strong and courageous, not because the battle was external, but because the power to win was within him, waiting to be unleashed. And that was the true test. And once that clicks, everything shifts. Your dangerous authenticity, the very too-muchness they judged, is the signature of your divine design. It is the unedited, untamed, magnificent force that not only repels what is not for you, but magnetizes your true destiny and your rightful position. This is the moment you stop asking for permission to be who you are, and you start claiming the throne heaven has already prepared for you. This is where your transformation from underestimated to unstoppable becomes not just a prophecy, but your lived reality. Tonight, before you sleep, or the moment you feel that old whisper of doubt creep back, place your hand over your heart and declare this truth with me. I release every lie that said I was too much, too intense, or too powerful. I break every agreement with limitation and fear. I reclaim my divine fire as a weapon for justice and a force for creation. I am not shrinking. I am expanding. I am not fitting in. I am leading the way. My dangerous authenticity is my greatest gift, and I wield it with purpose, precision, and unwavering faith. I am unstoppable, because I am divinely designed, and I am ready.